Hi, good evening. Welcome to Halloween 2017. I'm Dianne Shapiro. I'm Director of Safety and Education for ABATE, and I am going to read to you our mission. The mission of ABATE of Illinois is to preserve the universal right to a safe, unrestricted motorcycling environment and to propose and advocate actions that can be taken by elected officials to protect and conserve the natural resources of the state of Illinois and ensure through professional management that sustainable use, recreational opportunities, and enjoyment of these resources is available for this and future generations. And if you want to connect with ABATE of Illinois in Galesburg, you can get us through www.abate-il.org. Again, www.abate-il.org or 1-800-87-ABATE. Some of our memberships are coming due at the end of the year, so if you want to rush one through, I'm sure they can help you out. And we look forward to seeing you at all of our meetings. Great meeting place, the brewery over at 3848 North Harlem. And it's always a good time. Food is really good, and we had our last meeting outside at the last month's meeting. It was just, it's borderline. And tonight it's cold, and everybody is still, I think, getting used to the weather, and pretty soon, most of you, not all of you, most of you will be putting away your motorcycles for the year. So you're going to need to talk with someone like Andy about what you need to do to put the bike up, what to do, putting out a trickle charge for the battery, putting the bike up a little bit so the tires don't rest on the ground. You don't want to get the rubber to rot. And there are a number of things that you need to do to make sure your bike makes it safely through the winter. Although, weather being cooperative, probably on the 1st, and what is the date this year of Toys for Tots? December 4th? 3rd. The 3rd of December, quite a few of you, weather permitting or even not permitting. Last year, it was really a lot of fun last year, even though it snowed a little. It didn't really snow until the end, when everybody was coming back into to the high school. So, again, you might want to talk to someone like our Andy Lago, who could help you, unless you have somebody else that you rely on, to make sure your motorcycle is in great operating condition for the spring. Now, one thing. I went to Morgan Park High School, which is where I go to the different high schools to do the presentation of Share the Road. And I'm going back to Morgan Park High School on the 14th of November. So if anybody wants to join me, Morgan Park High School's on the south side. It's like off 57 at 111th Street, just west of there. You're more than welcome to come with. Even if you wanted to sit in the classroom and watch me and learn, it's always nice to have somebody there, and the instructors there are wonderful, and it's really a good experience. If any of you haven't ever gone into a classroom, it's the greatest. It really is. Get these young minds, they're just looking and they want to know and they want to learn and they want to hear and they love the stories. And that's a big part of it too, because not only do we want these young people who are the future riders behind the wheels of a car, many of them are also going to be learning how to ride motorcycles. And it's always good to get tips from people that have been out there, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And it's just a really pleasant experience. And I know the people that have worked with me, and we've worked together because we're a team. There's no leader, there's no follower, we're a constellation, and I know I always mention that. But it's like the way it should be. All of us who belong to ABATE are members of a team. And whether we are riders or passengers like myself, we all want to preserve the freedoms that have been so hard won over the years. And you all know, if you've been following legislation, that every year or two, or a couple of times a year, our legislators want to enact legislation to take away the rights of motorcyclists. And it's done in insidious ways, but we always stay on top of the legislation, keep you informed of what's going on, and when we ask you to call our legislators, please call them and stand with the legislation that we're asking you to support. Because it's really unfortunate, as I said, that they want to take away your rights. And you're tax-paying residents of the state of Illinois, and you're paying for the privilege. You're paying for your license, you're paying for registration, you're paying for insurance, you're paying for upkeep of the roads, you're paying property taxes, you're paying sales taxes, you're paying all kinds of taxes that there's no reason on earth why any group should be singled out. And that has happened. And Oscar, tell me if I'm wrong, about the various legislation. They've tried to shut down Lakeshore Drive. They've tried to stop any number of things. Even now, we're back at square one with the noise on Lakeshore Drive. You live on Lakeshore Drive, you're going to get noise, whether it's vehicular traffic or sirens or whatever. It's just something that you accept living in the big city. And it's unfortunate that these people who we elected to serve us decide to take the law into their own hands and become activists. Sorry, we elected you to represent us. We elected you to enforce the Constitution of the state of Illinois and the laws of our land, not to create new laws without input from the rest of the state of Illinois, i.e., an alderman, I don't believe, can make a law for his or her ward without permission of the state of Illinois, because the state law would supersede, as I understand. But even so, we can't let our rights get taken away, whatever they are, to preserve and protect your rights. And when our legislators stop defending our rights, well, we let them know, and we work hard to help those who want to help motorcyclists and to enforce the laws of our land, not to be activists making their own laws, not to be activists who decide that they are above the law. It does happen. So, again, November 14th, I'll be back at Morgan Park High School, and I do hope someone will volunteer, because it's nothing but fun, and it's just a really great experience, and I enjoy it. I've been doing it for a number of years now, and several of you have volunteered, and thank you for volunteering. We appreciate it, because every motorcyclist out there can only benefit by the work that we do, even in the classroom. We teach the kids to look out for motorcycles. They tell their friends to look out for motorcycles. They tell their family to look out for motorcycles, and so on and so on. And they get animated and they get excited, and they want to talk about their experiences and their family members who ride and various things that have happened. But everybody's invited to help, volunteer. We're part of a constellation. I was going to say our next meeting is going to be the third Wednesday of the month, is going to be November the 15th at the brewery. And again, now that the weather's getting a little cooler and people aren't going to be riding as much, it's really nice to sit down, hang out with friends. Pat always keeps the meetings to a minimum, and a lot of the time is spent socializing, sharing stories, talking about what everybody's been up to, and discussing what other events from various different of the clubs have that is going on. Like tonight, is it Llama having wing night tonight? They have it every Tuesday night.
Yes.
Because they did change it a little bit. They changed it away from wings for a while, and they had something else. But it's the same type of principle, and llamas are, I believe, 100% members of ABATE. I know several of the motorcycle clubs are 100% members of ABATE. Whether or not you attend a meeting, ABATE is there to legislate for you, both in Washington, D.C. and in Springfield. And we stay on top of legislation. And our legislative committee, we have not missed a meeting in 36 years, is it? Since ABATE was first started. We have had a representative at every single meeting, and in fact, we got an award last year for consistent, I forget what the award was titled, but it was for having had somebody at every meeting, every year, every time. We've never missed a meeting. And I don't think anybody else can match that record. But that's because our board cares. Whether it's Pat Jones or Andy Lago, or I mean any of our members, I don't want to go down a whole list of names. It's silly. We're a team. Every one of us is a team. And we're all, I feel, to a point, to a certain extent, interchangeable. Like, for example, tonight I'm here doing the TV show when Pat generally does it, but unfortunately he had a problem at his house, although I really think it's probably something like 1,000 trick-or-treaters coming by. Tonight's the night, folks. Everybody's out haunting the streets. There's a big parade in my neighborhood down Halsted Street. Traffic is crazy. There's a crash up on northbound Lakeshore Drive. What else is new? Traffic is crazy in this city, and you just have to be prepared for it. And we talk about things like road rage, which I'm sure none of us has ever experienced before. But, you know, talking about what the results of road rage can be, and you can lose your concentration, possibly have a crash, and the responsibilities that happen if you have a crash, i.e. getting your car towed, whatever, and however much it costs. That it's always easier and it's always better to foresee consequences before you act. And that's not necessarily something that 15 and 16-year-olds can do. They're not that, they're just getting into their hormones. They're testing them out. So we have to sort of, you know, remind them about what the consequences can be for road rage. That can be for DUI. And the long-term consequences, because they're underage, and if they're driving a vehicle, that vehicle will be impounded. And the odds are it does not belong to the kid. And how much it costs to pay for insurance, and how much more the insurance costs if you've had a DUI, and if you become involved in the court system. You may not even get your driver's license until you're 18 or 21, depending on what the judge determines, because you will be either on probation or court supervision. And how easy is it when you're a guy and you want to take a girl out on a date, say, yeah, honey, let's take the CTA or let's grab an Uber. Not terribly romantic. The bottom line is that the price of freedom can sometimes be just as simple as thinking before you act. Which, yeah, hormonal creatures do have a little bit more trouble reining in those hormones than adults do, but let's face it, some adults also have trouble reining in those road rage hormones, and do we see the consequences of it? Crashes and bad things happening on the road. Fill in the blanks. We read about them all the time here in Chicago, especially on certain stretches of highway, like, oh, the Dan Ryan, that's a pretty notorious one. Keep your windows closed, folks, on the Dan Ryan, and just pray for the best. Pray for the best. Because this is Chicago. Lakeshore Drive, I don't know, I shouldn't even mention this, because I know that the members of ABATE would never do something like this. I've seen this on 3 separate occasions on Lakeshore Drive. When one of these sport bikers decides they're going to pop a wheelie and ride down Lakeshore Drive on one wheel. Well, if you want to do little tricks like that, please don't do them in traffic, however good you may be, because you scare the heck out of people on either side of you. You don't know if someone is going to lose control of their car, and gee, wouldn't it be horrible to become a roadkill? Great big splotch in the road. We've seen it happen. I think I mentioned a crash that I didn't see, but I came by afterwards last July. A woman driving southbound on Lakeshore Drive lost control of her vehicle somehow. It's never been reported since the crash. Her vehicle flew into the northbound traffic. She was killed, and 5 people were injured. I don't think anybody is prepared when they're driving to have a vehicle fly into them. But it doesn't hurt in Chicago to consider the possibility that something like that could happen. Because this is Chicago, and we have a lot of drivers that do drive without licenses, which is pretty serious offense if you get arrested, and that's something else we talk about with the kids, the consequences of driving without a license, the consequences of riding a motorcycle without your M classification. We try to give them kind of a Cliff's Notes for worst case scenarios that are best to avoid it. In short, avoid the criminal justice system at all costs, which is advice I would give to an adult as well. Avoid the court system at all costs. Once you fall into the judicial system, whether it's for divorce or traffic or a criminal case, it will haunt you forever because it stays on your permanent record. Although a DUI, for example, can't be as good for up to 10 years. It can be used against you after 10 years. They don't use it, but they technically can, because if you had more than 1 DUI, 2 DUIs, 3 DUIs, and you show a pattern, they can revoke your driving privileges permanently. So a lot of the time the kids don't even realize that juveniles can be charged as adults. And we talk about various scenarios, because I was an adult probation officer for 25 years. I did a few investigations on some pretty awful cases that, in retrospect, all of them were perfectly avoidable. All of them. But because people didn't think before they drove, think before they made a traffic maneuver, keep a safe traveling distance, pass somebody carefully, crashes occurred. And you can't even use the word accident. An accident would be if there was an earthquake and the road opened up. These are crashes. They're caused by carelessness, caused by inattentive driving, caused by careless driving, caused by distracted driving. And those are things that we do cover in the classroom. And it's always great, because I'm sure all of you have stories you could tell the kids about experiences you've had on the road with just those kinds of scenarios. So consider it an invitation. You don't even have to invite yourself. I will be at 7:30 in the morning at Morgan Park High School on November 14th, whatever day of the week that is. I know it's the 14th. And you're welcome to join. Come on down. Now, we haven't had any callers, have we, Oscar? They're all out trick-or-treating. Everybody's got a costume on, and they're down on Halsted Street. They're taking their kids out trick-or-treating. It's a fun night to be out, even though, unfortunately, the weather isn't the best tonight. Anecdotally, when I was a kid, because my birthday is October 16th, we used to always celebrate it on Halloween because it was more fun for a party. And my mom had this down to a science. Kids come, paint pumpkins, eat cake, bob for apples, go trick-or-treating, and get out. It was great. Every year. Most of you parents have a system. We know that. And, well, tonight's, make sure you have plenty of candy for the little trick-or-treaters. Or leave out some packets of ketchup, packets of syrup, packets of mustard from McDonald's. Trick-or-treat, you little you-know-whats. Grabby little things. So I guess it's going to be kind of a short night tonight, and I do apologize. But please, we do look forward to seeing you guys at the meetings, and let us know what activities are going on around that we can invite our members to and let them know about on our message board or on our Facebook page, because we're all a team. Everybody who is in the motorcycle community is a team. And again, whether you're a passenger, you're a rider, a friend of a rider, or parent of a rider, child of a rider, your life matters and every life matters, and we want to do our best to make sure that everybody that has our ABATE Share the Road classroom leaves there knowing that we've reminded them to always look out for motorcycles, be careful when they're out there, and in May, we bring out reminders of it being Motorcycle Month. We bring out invitations to the different schools for Toys for Tots to meet up at the various locations, to make donations. It becomes like family, and we look forward to hearing all kinds of good and happy stories. We don't want to hear the bad, sad war stories. We want to hear the happy stories. Toys for Tots, how much was made, how many people had a good time, how many kids got gifts. And we want to thank all of our members who are active with Toys for Tots, because you really do make a difference in people's lives. The kids love it, and the parents of the children love it too, because many of them just simply can't afford to give their children Christmas gifts. We don't always have a great economy, so we try to look out for people less fortunate than ourselves. And even if you come up with just a little bit of money, give a donation to our Toys for Tots members. They'll make sure that that money goes toward gifts. And batteries are always a great gift. Some of you might be a member of a club like Costco or Sam's Club. You pick up a great big packet of batteries. You can make a donation. Batteries are always welcome of various sizes, AA, A, C, D. Many of the toys that we give to the kids need batteries, and sometimes batteries just aren't included in those toys. So that's kind of a nice thought. Get a big bag of batteries and bring them over to Andy over at the auto shop, or come to a meeting and give it to the guys that are involved. Several of our members do Ride in Toys for Tots in the various different clubs we affiliate with. Ride in Toys for Tots. And it's a great organization to get involved with. They have their meetings, and everybody is always welcome. So, I want to thank you all for listening. I want to thank you all for being members. Please, if you can, get a friend to join. You don't have to be a rider to be a member, but we look out for you, and we look out for all of the taxpayers of the state of Illinois. And we look forward to seeing you at the next ABATE meeting and all the upcoming events we'll keep you aware of. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you down the road. Good night and happy haunting.